Sensation back at you with another marketplace score this weekend. You don't know what you're buying until you get there and you buy it. Honestly, I'd put these two cases on my watch list. And I watched them for probably a week or two. The price went down $25, so I hit the seller up. And I decided I'd go ahead and take them at the $125 price, because they're two ROG cases and I kind of like them. And it looked like in the pictures that there might be some extras in one of these, like a motherboard and processor, but I mean, if they're selling it as two cases, you don't know what's going to be in it when you get there, none of that, or if they're complete or not. They are relatively complete. I think there are some missing screws on these, but I don't know for sure. I went ahead and gave them $30 for a B450M board that they had extra, so I ended up spending $155. And you can see all the stuff in there for that. Hopefully, I can't see up there, so I'm just kind of scrolling the camera. This is an Asus ROG case, and I imagine this one had an Asus build in it, because this looks like one of the ones you can, with the NVIDIA GeForce GTX logo, the Ryzen 7. This looks like a regular Asus build right here. This one is the tough gaming case. You guys and gals have probably seen it with the straps on it. So this was a case that Asus sold separately, which is a case that you could get online and buy. It's part of the ROG series, right? Well, if you see a I/O shield and a backplate there, that's because this has a motherboard and a processor in it. So what that motherboard and processor was a memory, or a mystery, and whether or not it works is yet a bigger mystery. So I went $125 just for the two cases. I went another $30 for that motherboard right there. I don't have a processor for it, but I can probably pick up a 3600 or even a 5600 for it and throw in there. Which will give us a whole nother build, but we're going to put it to the side because we don't really need it. That is dependent on what's in this black tough gaming case. There is a motherboard and processor there. So I'm going to shut you guys off right now to put you on a tripod so we can focus on this one first. Alright, I'm going to put you on real time while we take this thing apart to see what parts we got, what we're missing, and what we need to work on a build here, or see what works, if we can even do a build out of it. Alright, so we see that the motherboard's here. I don't see a name on it. Oh, what's that say right there? Guy's eyes are bad. I'm an old guy, so you just got to bear with me. Gaming, no. What does that say? Mainboard, obviously. Oh, I think it says tough on it, actually, which would mean it's an Asus board, right? That's an Asus Republic of Gamers board. Huh. You can see we got a lot of stuff unhooked in here, but we have an NVM2 drive, or NVMe, right here, and it looks like it's an Intel, but I can't really tell the size of it. But we have an NVMe drive in this thing too. So I would imagine, since we have a CPU cooler, that we actually have that, and that motherboard's loose in there, and that's because we're missing standoffs, we're missing screws, we're missing a lot of stuff, which means they were either putting it in or taking it out. I don't know which yet. And usually you only do that, guys and gals, if you have what? A problem. That's right. This has been built before. You can see the two slots here busted out, if you can see my fingers going through them. They're broken out, which means, well, they're missing. They're not broken out because these bolt in. We're going to have to hook everything up, so I'm going to put you Smell for smoke. We ain't burning nothing down, so let's go ahead and hit the power button and see if we can get into the BIOS or if it posts. We got fanage. Ladies and gentlemen, we got fanage. We got lightage on the keyboard, and I think I seen the, look at that. We posted, we're in the BIOS. Son of a B-I-T-C-H. This son of a gun works. We have a Ryzen 7 3700X 8-core. Both sticks of memory are showing 8 gigabytes at 2133 megahertz. We're running 27 degrees Celsius on CPU temperature, and we're at about 1.4 volts total. Is it 1105 on... What? Is that right? Son of a gun, look at that. The SSD showing up as a 512 gigabyte Intel SSD. So I'm going to say we hit the lottery on this one. I really am. What I'm going to go ahead and do, though, so we can test it, let's go to the Q fan control. I don't have none of the fans hooked up in it. I think the only fan I got is the back fan running on this. So I'm going to show it to you why I got it fired up. This thing's got RGB wires and all kinds of stuff in this Asus case, so I don't know. Those may or may not be RGB fans on the top. And why can't I get to the thing to loosen you guys up here? I don't know. But can you believe it? $155 marketplace score. I bought 2 cases and a motherboard, and I wound up with a 3700X 8-core and a working Asus ROG board. I'm scratching my head. I can't believe it. This might be my best marketplace score yet in 2025. So you can see we're basic hookup here. PS2, because you know I love that, right? We got our USB for our mouse. I switched to a DVI cable on this, doing some testing on another computer. So, of course, I popped our R9 280 in it, because that seems to be my go-to test card for these units now, right? So there's the fan spinning on the Ryzen 3700X processor. This only has 2 memory slots in it. Right there. And when the board lit up, it said Asus Republic. You know what? Let's shut this down and see what that board says down there, because I've never seen an ROG board with only 2 memory slots, guys and gals. I've never seen that before. Usually they'll have 4 slots on them, and the ROG board will have all kinds of stuff. So what is going on here? Something is not right. Let's shut it down. Let it completely quit spinning here. I'm almost sure that said Republica Gamers when it lit up at the bottom. Well, heck, it should have said it in the BIOS, right? Let's power it up again. I'm just not believing this. There we go. Republica Gamers, Asus. And it's got the logo up in the top right corner. Unbelievable. I've never seen a ROG board with only 2. Wait a minute. I'll tell you why this is this way. Because it was in the ROG computer. That other case I told you was a regular computer is right here. And I'll bet you money that they took the motherboard out of this and stuck it in the tough case. I'll bet that little board goes right in here. I'll bet that this is the case that it was built for. I'll bet this was how Asus sold it as a complete. So that motherboard that's in that case over there don't belong in it. This isn't the motherboard that belongs in this case. Son of a gun. I gotta sit here and take this all in. $155 I spent for 2 cases and 1 motherboard in a box. And I wound up with a motherboard, a processor, and a NVMe drive. And the Tough Gaming case, it has all the fans in it, rear fan, all 3 front fans. I wonder if we should move this board back to where it came from. Back where I'm sure it came from there. Always try to put support back here when I push those power plugs in. You can see I did that right there. So we're going to come up with the top one through this hole up here, if you can see where my finger's at. We're going to skimmy right up into that hole with the top power plug, the 8-pin. And we're going to try to keep it relatively clean. I don't know if that's the right word I'm looking for. Yes, clean. The word of the day is clean. No, that's not the word of the day. The word of the day is I am an idiot. Do not do what I do unless you want to burn your computer and house possibly to the ground. That's not true either. But we are going to get our power supply hooked back up here. Well, not hooked back up, but we're going to get one installed in it, because the one thing we didn't get with our $155 cases and our nice Republica Gamer score is we did not get power supplies. So they were missing in action. We didn't get graphics cards and we didn't get no memory. But we did get us a 512 gigabyte Intel NVMe drive, which I'm sure probably come with this setup right here. That would be my guess. And this cable is not really, oh, how could I say this? She's not really wanting to come around for a guy, but we got it. You see these little wires right here? Those are for this Wi-Fi adapter, which also plugs 50% into a USB more than likely. And I'm sure we can figure that out. I'm going to have to take the graphics card out of another computer. So I'm going to pre-warn you on that I might stop you. Boy, this little guy is killing me, and I ain't even lying. You can barely see where the son of a gun goes, and it doesn't want to line up and pop into the slot, which means maybe something's bent or not exactly right with it. So I'm trying to hang it on there a little bit, and then when I line it up, just push down to try to see if it'll snap down. The other one pops right down. And this one is just fighting a guy. And I want to make sure it's straight before I go pushing on it. Yeah, there's clearly something wrong with this one. It's definitely not doing what it should, so I'm going to take some time with that, use me a magnifying glass, and I'm going to try to work on getting that done. I'm going to stop the time lapse, and then once I get this thing figured out and snapped together, We'll get the Wi-Fi adapter in it. I'll grab, while I got you shut off, I'll go ahead and grab the card that's going in this. I think you guys and gals are going to like it. Make sure we got all our RGB hooked up. I don't know if there's fans in there or not. I'm kind of hoping there is, because if not, then Asus did a terrible job on ventilation. But I don't buy pre-built computers, so I don't buy iBuyPower, none of that stuff, and obviously the Asus pre-built, so I don't buy that stuff. Maybe some of you guys and gals know more about these than I do, but it looks like it's a pretty cheap, basic, simple computer. I mean, nothing looks real extravagant on it or anything like that. Would I have custom built it this way? Probably not, but again, it looks like a pretty cheap, basic pre-built computer, and it's probably a lot like you would buy it from Walmart or Best Buy or wherever you got it from, right? So we're going to get it finished so we can boot it back up and get Windows on it. All right, let's see how we're doing so far on our Asus build. I've got it all hooked up. I don't think that HDMI cable's making good contact, but we're going to find out if it lights up or not. Let's see what it looks like too. Well, hot dang, we lit it up. We got some RGB strips of some kind going on in there, and we got our graphics card hooked up. I'll get you off the tripod and let's check out our Asus ROG desktop right here with our Ryzen 7 3700X 8 core. I've got a ROG RTX 2070 graphics card in it. 512 gig NVMe drive, Intel, with 16 gigs of RAM. And we got some, man, I might have to shut some lights off in here. Got to see this beauty we got. Look what we put together. I don't think this is how it was factory, because I doubt very serious. Well, I know it didn't have an RTX card in it. So we got to put a couple block off plates, but I'm not going to do that yet, because I'm going to put that Wi-Fi adapter back in and put a smaller card in that isn't so thick, that takes up so much space like our, let's turn this a little bit. How about that? Let's give her a better, let's get a better look at our setup here. So there is our Asus ROG desktop. And man, that back fan's like a little tornado fan. It's just blowing some wind out. And then of course here we got, showing you exactly what it is. Everything there seems to be working. So the only other thing I need to do is let me get Windows installed on it, and I'll cut you guys back on after I get Windows installed, and we'll boot into Windows and see how this thing does. Okay, we have NovaBench 5 installed. We've got our drivers installed. My favorite bench test to see how balanced these things are, and I'm just curious to see how it scores, honestly. Ryzen 7 3700X 4.11 gigahertz. NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2070 Super. I don't know why it's showing it as a 4 gig. It's definitely an 8 gig card. DDR4 16 gigs of memory, and the Intel SSD. So I played around with this before I turned it back on, because I wanted to do some comparisons to show you. So we're going to go ahead and $25.98 total score on NovaBench, 1655 on the CPU, 502 on the graphics, right there, 270 on our memory, 171 on our storage. So how did we compare? What percentile are we in? What? Apparently it didn't sync with Nova Bench, so let's go home and let's try it again to see if it works right. But while I'm doing that, that's a good score. What I wanted to point out though is the graphics card score. The 502 is almost exactly what we had when it was in the Beast, which is a Xeon 5675. So the Beast is not bottlenecking the 2070 at all. So I know that my Xeon 1366s don't bottleneck the 2070, and it proved it on that score. But we're going to run another test here. But that's not all we're going to do. This is going to be our comparison rig today. Ryzen 5800 gigabyte RX 6700 XT graphics card. I think this has got a 500 gig or a 1 terabyte. And you see all my stuff's going to load up here for the Oculus software and you name it. It's all, we're going to close all this out. I want to make sure I got this fully loaded and have most things closed out, because I don't want that to hinder the test. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and run Nova Bench on this, and we're going to compare the 5800 with the 3700X and the 6700 XT to the 2070 Super. Alright, right here is my regular system, Ryzen 7 at 4.33, AMD Ryzen or Radeon RX 6700 XT, 32 gigs of DDR4 memory. So we definitely got more memory and stuff in this one. I just want to make sure everything's shut down, and I think we're good. I went ahead and went in here and closed a lot of stuff out in the tray. So none of my background stuff for my racing was running. No Oculus software, nothing like that to hinder our test. So let's go ahead and start the benchmarks on this one. And we're going to let that run out while we're going to let the other one run out. And then we're going to see what our results are, and we're going to compare it online to see. Well, we want to look for balance too. I mean, that's the biggest reason for it. But we'll compare it online and we'll see where we're at. This one's done. So we went 501 on the graphics that time, 1672 on the CPU, 270 on the memory, 162 or 52, whatever that is. On, I think it says 162 now that I'm looking at it. No, 152. All right, so let's see if our report works this time. And we're having a problem with the report. I'm not sure what that is. But we got our total score, so we'll just stay with that. We're at 2595, and this is on our Asus ROG computer that we picked up off of Marketplace with the RTX 2070. So let's finish the other test and we'll check it. Alright, this one hit in the 88th percentile. This is my main rig here. The system ranks higher than 88% of all systems tested. 1707 on the processor, 643 on our graphics, 242 on the hard drive, and 323 on the memory. So the memory's doubled, that's why it's higher. But that 6700 XT hits pretty hard compared to that 2070. So I don't notice a ton of difference on the CPU score though between the Ryzen 5800 and the 3700X. So we got a total score of 2915. So remember the total score 2915. We're going to remember the 1707 and the 643. We're going to look over here. 2595, 1672, so not terribly off the 5800. And a 501, which is way down on the way down on that 6700 XT. The 6700 XT definitely stronger, but still very respectable, even for gaming in 2025. 1440 gaming probably could definitely happen with it. I'm happy with my Marketplace scores this weekend. Obviously it did, that graphics card didn't come in it, the memory didn't come in it, and the power supply didn't come in it. But we have parts lying around that we can test in these units, and it worked out really good. I'm gonna try to do the trade for the 1070 to put inside of this. But I think before I finish the video, I'm just going to give you guys kind of a silent walk around of this thing and maybe put a little music to it, and that's going to do it. But I just wanted to run that test and be able to show it to you and run it on both computers so we could run a comparison on the 5800 with the 6700 XT. That's the strongest rig I got, is my iRacing rig for Oculus. But here, I'll do an overview silently of it, but I want to finish the video off thanking each and every one of you for subscribing to the channel, viewing these videos, and dropping all the nice comments. Occasionally we get one or two people that come in, and I don't know if they're just hateful, miserable people or what, but they don't seem to reciprocate. I'm always going to respond to them people positively. I drop videos every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. You guys and gals know that. Actually a really good weekend on Marketplace, honestly. To be able to put together the ROG computer like it was and still have a tough gaming case, and I have the perfect motherboard and processor for that I picked up, and I'm going to show you the video. It's off an app that my wife has now told me to delete. If that tells you anything. So it's off an app that I was told that. But like, comment, subscribe to the channel. It's free, it's easy to do. I'm going to keep hitting Marketplace up. The 1060 scam didn't scare me off, so I'm going to keep going with it. And who knows what you're going to find out there, not just on Marketplace, but at yard sales and estate sales, thrift stores, anything like that. So here's our other case, which is the Tough. We're going to build it in another video. I've got the parts for it already. The only thing I'm still short on, guys and gals, is graphics cards. So if I can make the trade on that 1070, that'll give me something to put in this Asus ROG we put together. And then if I can pick up another one or two, I can get some of these other builds done. But I'll work on that. I'll stay vigilant on Marketplace and try to get it. Try to get a couple of more of them picked up. But other than that, I think we got the hard drives and the power supplies for it. So I'm pretty sure we're going to get our builds done. This one, not staying this way. It is going to get a 1070 put in it. So I think that's perfect for this build anyway. I really do. 1070 is a GTX, and it says GTX on the front. I can tell you that the build on this was, it's like 11/20/20 was the manufacturing date. So November of 2020 it was built. So there you go. It's an the model number, I don't know if it's a 180 HPH 762 or what, but we'll have to check it and see. But that's it. We scored a couple of cases, and we got the bonus of a motherboard, processor, and a 500 gig NVMe drive. So that was nice. Both Asus Republica gamers. This is a full Asus Republica gamers build now. And then we still got the case, and of course we got the ASRock B450 motherboard. So like, comment, subscribe to the channel. That's going to do it for another awesome SimStation video, and we'll catch you on the next one.